Hi, and welcome to Carolina Varsity's 2015 look at the Southwestern 4A Conference. I'm Dale Ross.
I'm the Pepman, Matt Morrow.
And this is our last conference to look at today. And this is traditionally one of the toughest conferences, but it's looking like the Mecca's taking that over. But it's still a very tough conference. So the first thing I thought I'd do is, this is projections based on last year's data by the North Carolina High School report that we put out each week. And it's projecting Independence, Butler, Rocky River, Myers Park, East Mecklenburg, Porter Ridge, and Garinger. So my projections is I'm picking Butler, but I think Independence is going to be a team to watch. I just think Independence, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but I think Independence is going to take a little while to get into their own in offense. Rocky River, so I actually have two dark horses because I've got some questions about where Rocky River might be able to finish. Rocky River could challenge for this conference. They're always solid. Then I've got some the next two teams, Myers Park and East Mecklenburg. I have them highlighted because I think they're going to be teams to watch. Look for them to be improved over last season. Myers Park could really be a shocker to us, maybe. We'll just have to wait and see. But second year for Coach Chadwick over there, but he loses coach. He picked up Coach Mark Harmon, but second year, they're going to be a team to watch, and I think East Mecklenburg, they were really, really, really down, as we know, over the last, since the opening of Rocky River. East Mecklenburg crashed to the ground and really has not come out of that crash. And they were in it last year still. This is Coach Schuford's second year over there. He's built up a really good staff. I think with 2 years under the belt there, that program's going to step up. Porter Ridge, I'm picking down at 6. That's a big drop for Porter Ridge from being kind of a play around with the top guys. And I'm sorry, we were talking off camera. We just mentioned about the coach projecting them to be number 3, and we're talking about Garinger. Goal 1 is for the kids to go out on the field and line up in their positions correctly and execute their plays correctly. That's got to be like the first goals out of what I've seen out of Garinger, off and on, is being able to get the kids lined up, into position, executing right, thinking right, doing right. It's going to take a while for the weights to kick in. If he's really got a good weight program going on, it's going to take a while for that to kick in because you're playing in the Southwestern 4A, and those teams that we mentioned above you, even Porter Ridge, they've been lifting weights forever. Porter Ridge just low on numbers and small in size normally, but when you're going up against your Butlers and Independence and Rocky River, those kids are in the weight room every day, and it takes several years to try to catch a kid up to the level that these kids are at, because these kids have been doing it.
Reading that article, he's got the right ideas. He wants to establish a JV team, and it looks like they're going to have them with the numbers they have now. But we'll get more into Garinger. Let's go back to the top. You mentioned Butler. Obviously Coach Hales, has done an excellent job, over the past few years. They still got, LeMay at running back, who I believe is in your list here from 247 Sports.
Yep.
He is ranked.
LeMay is, and I'm sorry, I took it out of order. I should put it back in order.
Yeah, it's number 47 according to them. Committed to UNC Charlotte, staying local.
It is in order. Yep. So yeah, he's going to be playing local. I thought that was. I'm glad of that. I think but I think that's a good fit for him. Actually, I think he can do. He's a great ball player.
Yeah. Most definitely. And then they got Clifton Duck. We've seen over the past couple of years playing corner. They use him on offense. He makes big plays all over the field. He's a real fast kid.
Yep.
They have
the return game is big in that.
Most definitely. They're going to have talent on both sides of the ball. The key is they're going to have some new guys at the quarterback position. I believe kids moving up from JV, but he's been in the system, so you expect that progression to happen naturally. But what we come to expect.
Exactly.
So they've got their own tradition already.
Exactly.
So I don't expect that to be any different. then you look at Independence. We mentioned earlier, Coach Hart making the move from Providence to Independence, putting in that read option type system. Like you said, it takes time to get the timing down consistently, and to get everybody going. So that defense, led by Mr. Christian Colon at defensive tackle, ranked number 44 here according to 247 Sports. And then they got a kid on here, Cedric Stone, at corner, who's ranked number 70 according to this list. So you got a couple guys on the defensive side of the ball. They may have to carry it, a little bit before that offense really gets going.
Yeah, I think definitely the defense is going to have to hold their own early in the season to give that offense time to get in gear. They got a big test this Saturday against Mallard Creek. Key is you can't stay on the field the entire game, because no matter how good a defense is, if they're on the field, the majority of the game, they're going to tire, and all of a sudden they're not, they're not a good defense. And I've often said sometimes your best defense is a good offense,
and expect them to work that in the non-conference. By conference time, I think they'll be ready to go.
Exactly.
Rocky River, Coach Fowler is back once again. Their defense coordinator left and moved up north. Coach Simpson. So they're going to have to, replace him on the defense side of the ball. Coach Fowler, once again, good offensive mind, like I've said over the years, respect him a ton. Those kids, like you said, they're an established program now. They built that from the bottom. So they got the consistency in their ways of doing things. They have talent, but you haven't heard a lot about them. You haven't heard a lot about them this season. And, they lost some guys to graduation that were very good. So it's a chance for new guys to step up. And this is the challenge of a program now. They were a good team. Now you're going to see them progress into a good program. Good programs, don't rebuild, they reload.
Yep, exactly.
So this is a reloading year for Rocky River, and we're going to see, early on, where they're at.
Yeah, I think they'll do well. How well they do, obviously, is the question. I'm picking them third, but not going to be surprised to see them, knock off an Independence or a Butler. It would not be a surprise, because I don't think either one of those teams are overpoweringly dominant like they have seen in their past, the past decade.
And I think that's the hallmark of this conference this year. Normally you would have like a real top-heavy team. I think there's a lot of parity here.
Right.
Even with this next team, Myers Park, like you said, I think they're a dark horse. Like I said about Coach Chadwick, he's very, very good in everywhere he's been. He's won games. So I know you mentioned on the forum it takes time in CMS. It definitely does. It takes time in CMS to turn things around. But like I said, he's got Coach Harmon over there, good offensive mind through the years. He's been different places and has always done well. They lost their defensive coordinator to Country Day. Whitman, taking over for his dad who retired. So there's going to be some adjustments there, but expect them. They always have numbers. They're one of the biggest high schools in the state. So they're always going to have numbers. There's always going to be some talent. It's just a matter of, how's it going to come together?
Exactly.
And it's going to be really interesting. And that's one of the teams I'm really looking forward to seeing Saturday night when they go against Country Day, ironically enough.
Right. I'm looking forward to that myself.
You look at East Meck, Coach Shuford's second year, always had a ton of respect for him. He runs that offense. It's tough to defend. It's kind of similar to Catholic. You know what's coming, but it's hard to stop. They execute well. They were young last season, but they were talented. And that those kids are coming back once again. Defensively, I think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment from what they did in the past. But still, you know what you're going to get with him. He's going to run the ball. He's going to be a hard-nosed defense. He's a hard-nosed coach, and those kids are a reflection of that. And I know you mentioned their coaching staff. In high school football, that makes a huge difference when you have a good coaching staff.
Yeah, so they have a nice, solid, rounded coaching staff. They were young last year. I think next year is their year to really be talked about, but I do believe they'll be improved over last season. How much improved? I think they'll win. They could win 4 ball games, somewhere between 4 to 6 ball games. I think is a potential for them. But
and I'm gonna tell you something. Now, we mentioned Garinger earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised if they're above Porter Ridge here. And I say this because they have talent.
Mm-hmm.
As long as that talent, stays eligible.
That's the key.
I think they have more talent than Porter Ridge.
Yeah.
Last season, we faced them at Harding. They run a spread offense. They try to get the talent they have in space.
Mm-hmm.
Their quarterback is tough. He runs the ball well. He can throw it. They have a kid at running back. He was featured in their article. I think he wears number 2. Had 900 yards rushing last year. Very fast, very shifty. Defensively, they're real aggressive. They love to blitz. They love to challenge you. And they have stability in their coaching staff, which is a huge thing when you're trying to rebuild something.
Yeah.
And they actually had they mentioned they had a real off-season program for the first time,
Yeah.
which helps a ton. And then, predicting third, it is, big. But you got to sell your players on something. You got to
Sure.
get them to believe.
You got to give them a goal.
Right.
Right.
Let me tell you something. Watch that game against Hopewell.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be interesting. I may go out and catch a half of that on Friday night just to see where they are and where Hopewell is, because these are two teams that a lot of people really aren't talking about, obviously.
Right.
But you want to find out where they are right now, and maybe they could surprise somebody if you see some real changes and positive things going on.
Yeah. So for Garinger, you mentioned the key thing, and that's keeping kids eligible. That's been the biggest problem.
Yeah. And your talent there.
Exactly.
And it's, talent's everywhere, especially in Charlotte. When we talk about Porter Ridge, they're outside of Charlotte, and, you got a lot of schools in a smaller population area. So, I kind of buy that out there. But in Charlotte, you can find talent. It's just a matter of fact, you got to get them on the field.
You got to get them on the field. If you can keep those kids eligible, there are lots of athletes over there, there's no doubt.
And building the JV, like I said earlier, that's the key. And they've got that, vision on track. So hats off to Coach Gaskins. He's a very nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Met him last season. I wish him the best of luck. I got a couple of former kids that played at Harding when I was there on the coaching staff, so I wish them the best.
Well, good. I would love to see Garinger win some ball games. They've lost the last 30 that they've played. They're on an 0-30 streak right now. So, right before that, they actually made a run in the mega conference. They were in the mega conference, and I remember that they finished third.
I believe so. 2010. I remember that year. They were 7-4. They were really good. Chris Carter was the coach. After that, he went to South Carolina, took a job down there, and things kind of fell off. But they had stability. They had stability in the program. That's what made them successful.
That's right.
I think they're going to let Coach Gaskins, stay there and build that thing the right way. And if they can do that again, that's possible.
That's the Southwestern 4A. It's going to be interesting to see how things roll out this year. Thanks, and have a good weekend. And oh, by the way, Independence of Mallard Creek Saturday night, big ball game.